Hello, guys. You're welcome to today's live session. We're live across all social media platforms on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you can see me and hear me, great. Please type USA or put in the flag of the United States, and then we can get started. We have a number of things to discuss. We're not going to be here for long today, so we will keep it moving along. Let's get started with our first topic of the day. There have been a lot of immigration updates, so we're going to be discussing some of them and how they impact you. And as always, you are free to put in your questions, and at the end of the session, we will do our best to answer some of the questions for general education purposes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again and see if it's going to work out this week. Last week, we couldn't share a screen. Okay. Okay. All right, let me see if this is going to work out here. We have some interesting updates. There have been a lot of things going on in immigration. You guys already, you're following the news, so you see everything happening. All right, this is what we're trying to share now. If you guys can see me and hear me, please put in USA, type in USA. Let's be sure everyone can see me good. Okay, well, I believe this was yesterday. Yesterday, USCIS posted a notice. The notice is to reinstate a form called the I-945. And the form I-945 is supposed to be a form for public charge bond. And it's a notice to reinstate the public charge bond. This public charge bond form was used in 2019, I believe between 2019 and 2021. And what happened was that during the period, USCIS could require some applicants that it found inadmissible on public charge grounds to post a public charge bond. These applicants or immigrants are people who were applying for green cards in the United States, adjustment of status. And as you may know, if you're applying for adjustment of status, or if you're, let me be more general, if you're entering the United States on an immigrant, either on an immigrant visa or a non-immigrant visa, you have to show that you are not a public charge. If you are not able to demonstrate you are not a public charge, your non-immigrant visa application, such as your B visa, your F visa, will be denied. Non-immigrant visa, you're coming in for a temporary period of time, visiting school, and public charge applies because they don't want you to come as a visitor and then take US government benefits. If you're coming in as an immigrant, you're coming in to live and work permanently in the United States as a green card holder. If you have an immigrant visa, once you enter, you're admitted as a lawful permanent resident. So if you apply for a green card in the United States through the adjustment of status, you file your green card application, and USCIS finds that this person is likely to be a public charge, meaning they are likely to rely on public welfare, or they are likely to be a burden on the taxpayer, then that means USCIS has found you inadmissible. And the form 945 is the form, the public charge bond, where USCIS would allow you to post and document that bond. The form I-944 was the declaration of self-sufficiency. That's a form that would let you fill out all your assets. What do you own? How much money do you have in your account? What is your education, the level of your education, just to make sure that you were somebody who had good health, you could work, you had good assets, like the totality of the circumstances show that you're someone who was not going to be a burden on the US taxpayer. And so that bond, USCIS could ask when they found that it looks like this person is likely to become a burden on the taxpayer, then you would have to fill out that bond. I believe the Biden administration stopped enforcing the 2019 public charge rule, and so public charge bonds were no longer being required. Now that form I-945 fell out of use. Okay. The form exists. If you go on the USCIS website, I just checked, that form is there, the form I-945, but it's not actively being used. And so USCIS let the OMB approval expire. The OMB is like the agency that approves forms, like before that's the Office of Management and Budget. If you are trying to circulate a form, federal law requires that agencies have to ask the Office of Management and Budget before they can require the public to fill out forms. And so if you want to ask for that permission, you must publish a notice in the Federal Register and allow public comment. And that's what this notice is doing. So it looks like USCIS is likely going to reinstate that public charge form, perhaps, but it's a notice to reinstate the form I-945, which is the form to post a bond. And there is also, let me go here. There is also the notice to, hold on, it's the form 356. In the same vein, USCIS has also published a notice to reinstate that form, the form I-356, which is the form which is used to request for cancellation of public charge bond. Okay, so if you file the bond, that form I-356, you can submit it to request cancellation of that bond on behalf of, if a bond was posted on your behalf. So you use that to cancel the bond if that money is no longer required. Okay, so USCIS would cancel a bond or a public charge bond when the immigrant is dead, or the immigrant has permanently left the United States, or the immigrant becomes naturalized, or after the 5th anniversary of that immigrant becoming a lawful permanent resident. So once you posted a public charge bond, if one of these things happen, then that you can file this application to cancel that public charge bond. Okay, so USCIS has posted the notice on the Federal Register to reinstate those two forms, the I-945 public charge bond and the I-356 cancellation of public charge bond. So this signals to us that public charge rule, likely the form I-944 may be coming back. They're doing, there's things that they're trying to do with the public charge. You all may know that this connects with the latest visa policy where the US Department of State has paused immigrant visa issuance for nationals of 75 countries. And the government's argument is that these people are likely to become a public charge, so that they seem to be implementing some new policies behind the scene to take care of public charge issues inside the United States, because the public charge issues are being taken care of for people who are doing the consular processing, meaning they're applying for green cards from outside the United States. So let's wait and see what the government comes up with. I'm sorry, but I've seen many of your questions that, can you guys hear me? I hope I'm not too far from the microphone. And these are valid questions. People apply for green cards. People apply for immigrant visas, which allow them to enter the US as green card holders. And everybody has a sponsor or somebody who's attesting that they are petitioning for this person. And even if that sponsor is not making enough money to take care of the immigrants coming in, they could have a joint sponsor who can help. Okay, so the sponsor is supposed to make sure they have 125% above the federal poverty guideline for the household side. They have to make that money. And so that means that if the immigrant comes in and goes to take any public means tested government benefit, then the immigrant is on the sponsor is on the hook to reimburse the US government for the benefits that the immigrant has gone and taken. So if you have your public charge process, the affidavit of support process ongoing, then why do you want to penalize people who have never even come to the US on the basis that there are some people from their country that have come in the past and have taken public benefits? It's a very strange rationalization, but we've seen a lot of very strange things happening. You guys remember somebody who came in with the diversity visa lottery. He shot a professor and injured some others. The guy from Portugal, he came in with a visa lottery. Was it 2017, if I remember correctly? And he shot someone. And this person came in, almost 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And because this one person who came in with a diversity visa lottery has shot someone, now you are pausing the diversity visa lottery program. And my question to the US government is, then why don't you pause all visa programs? Because you will find somebody who came in on an F1 visa who has committed a crime, has likely shot someone or stabbed someone. So why don't you pause student visas? You'll find someone on an L1 visa who has committed a crime, on an O visa, on an EB1 immigrant visa. On every single visa category, I am pretty sure you'll find someone who has committed a crime or has committed murder. Then why don't we pause all immigration? So some of the US government's rationale for doing some of these things, or the rationale behind instituting some of the policies, is very, very strange. But it looks like they are just honestly looking for reasons to block immigration. And we've shared on our social media, President Trump was saying this a few weeks ago, and he said a lot of the people from some of the hellhole countries, he wants to block immigration from those places. He mentioned countries like Somalia, and I'm sure he meant a lot of the African countries, Afghanistan. And he said he wants immigrants from nice places, and that, Sweden, Australia, and all these nice places. He wants immigrants from those countries, and he doesn't want immigrants from these third world countries, and he's permanently pausing immigration from third world countries. And that language is very funny. You're permanently pausing. So is it a permanent stop or is it a pause? Because a pause is a temporary thing. If you are stopping it, you are stopping it. If you are pausing it, it's temporary. But if you're permanently pausing, then we really don't know what you are doing with that type of oxymoron. And so it looks like that's really the driving force behind all these policies that they keep coming up with, and just using tragic events to rationalize and say that, oh, okay, there we get them. They did this bad thing. We're going to use that as a basis to stop immigration. And on the one side, they keep saying, oh, come in the legal way, come in the legal way. That's what many of these people keep chiming, come in the legal way. People are trying to come in the legal way, then you block them. Okay, so what do you want them to do now? Then, if they want to just stop immigration, then they might as well do that, because the thing is, US citizens are also going to other countries, and that's how the world works. We are humans. We are not planted as trees. Humans move, they relocate, they move. So it's a different matter if you want to regulate immigration. But the way in which they're doing it, it just really shows that they just don't want certain people from certain parts of the world. Okay, so let's move on. So that public charge, watch out for it. They have the notice that they have. They are trying to reinstate these forms, the form I-945 public charge bond and the form I-356 for the cancellation of that bond. So, there's public comments now. You can submit your comment on the Federal Register notice. You should be able to find it if you search for the form names in the search bar. And then you can submit your comments for that, and we see where this goes. Okay, let's move on to our next topic for the day. Let's see here. All right. Just drop your comments, questions, and we will do a question and answer session when we're done with this. Okay, so there's an additional 30-day notice which ends sometime in February, I believe. Oh, is it? Yeah, I think it ends in February. The comment period ends in February. Okay. All right. And I'm sure some of you heard this news yesterday. The House of Representatives passed DHS funding bill. And DHS funding bill, and the bill funds the entire DHS, not just immigration enforcement. So it funds transportation security, administration, disaster response, border security, and it also funds immigration agencies like ICE and CBP. So I believe they passed $112 trillion. Let me pull up the article from Politico. I think I saw this article. Let's pull it up so that we can get the numbers. Lawyers and math, we don't mix. It's like water and oil, many of us. So let's see here how much. Let me see what the numbers are. Okay, I can't see the total number. Let me just go back to my DHS, how much ICE is getting, and we talk about that. Okay, so ICE received about $10 billion for its operations, and ICE received $10 billion, and the bill is supposed to add guardrails and oversight, and it limits DHS secretary's ability to move money around without approval. And it requires DHS to provide monthly reports on how it's spending the money from Trump's earlier bill. Last year there was the one big beautiful bill. ICE already received massive funding earlier. Okay, now this is what passed yesterday was ICE's budget, how much they are receiving for the fiscal year, and they are supposed to also receive. They set aside $20 million for body cameras for ICE and CBP officers during immigration enforcement. Okay, now the bill is supposed to move to the Senate for voting as well, and so it doesn't become law until Senate also votes upon it, and then it goes to the president to be signed into law. Okay, so the House of Representatives, the vote was 220 to 207. It means that more people voted for the bill to pass, and by simple majority, House of Representatives. So we had 220 voting in favor and 207 voting against the bill. Yeah. So already ICE had, people are saying that ICE has an excessive budget because July 2025, which was the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, over 170 billion in taxpayer funds were already allocated for immigration enforcement. So now they have so much money to hire and do what they're doing. Well, we'll wait to see. I believe it moves to the Senate for voting about next week. And yeah, it just tells you, it just signals to you, honestly, with all these numbers, there's just the signal that the Republicans, majority of them, are in favor of what ICE is doing. Republicans are in favor of what ICE is doing, and so they're just very happy. They're like, yes, go ICE, we're giving you money to carry out what you need to carry out. Really, that's what it is. They are in favor of it. If you think they're not in favor of it, I think we would be mistaken. I mean, some people perhaps are not in favor, but even some of the Democrats, I understand 7 of them voted in favor of the ICE funding. So there's that. Let me answer this question. Chizoba Odanwu Oko Esquire LLM on LinkedIn says, does the public charge apply to green card holders applying for citizenship? No, it does not apply to green card holders who are applying for citizenship. But you guys know that citizenship application, there's now that heightened scrutiny. They are looking at the totality of the circumstances, good moral character. Public charge is usually financial and it should not impact good moral character, but it depends, because now they're not going beyond what your crimes are, but they're also going to look at what your positive equities are. And if you're a public charge, perhaps that could impact that analysis by the officer who's determining whether you qualify for US citizenship. But these things are subject to review, and then we can see what the connection is. But typically, public charge only applies to adjustment of status. When you're trying to become a green card holder, you are inadmissibility affects green card application. Inadmissibility affects green card application. If you are trying to become a green card holder, you need to show that you are admissible. That admissibility discussion is only relevant for purposes of becoming a lawful permanent resident. When you are applying for citizenship, what they are looking out for is deportability, in addition to whether you are eligible for citizenship. Deportability means that you're already a green card holder or lawful permanent resident. Do you have anything that renders you deportable from the United States? You could be deportable under public charge also. So, I would recommend that always try to speak with a qualified immigration attorney so that they can review and see what the impact of what you are doing, or how this could impact you. It looks like there are some questions on TikTok. Let me see here. Abby on TikTok says, please, can children born in the banned country still get citizenship? Yes. This is an immigrant's visa pause. It doesn't affect citizenship. So citizenship applications should be approved. Okay. Let me see if we have any other topics. Today we're going to be very quick, so I've already started answering questions. Okay, let's see here. Let me see if I have any other pressing questions we can answer. Okay. I saw a question from Karandi. Please, a friend is asking if she can marry her boyfriend who's a citizen to secure her stay. Absolutely. You can get married in the United States if you are here, but you have to have been inspected and admitted. You have to be admissible. Please contact us. But yes, you can get married to a US citizen to get permanent residency if you're already in the US. Mr. Frank says, how about K1, sweetheart? Okay, K1 visas. K1 visas are non-immigrant visas. And so typically they should not be blocked. I discussed this last week. I've done videos on it. They should not be blocked under the 75 country immigrant visa pause, immigrant visa issuance pause. You should still be able to get K1, but I have explained that immigrant visa issuance pause has its background as the reason is public charge, and so a consular officer, in their discretion could decide to deny because the K1s are usually processed as immigrant visas. And unless the Department of State issues clarification on how K1s should be processed, they should allow K1s to be issued under the 75 country immigrant visa issuance pause. Now, for the 39 countries that are banned, fully banned countries, K1s cannot be issued. Partially banned countries, K1s should be issued because the partially banned countries are only banned as to be FMMJ visas. Generally, Turkmenistan is on a different scale, but generally for the partially banned countries are banned as to those visa applications. Okay, so we have Juliana who says, Juliana Somwa PMP, do these bans affect EB1, EB2 applicants in the United States? Which bans? So the 39 country ban, right? It's a travel ban, and number two, it's an adjudicative hold with USCIS on all benefits applications filed by nationals from those 39 high-risk countries. If you are from one of those 39 high-risk countries, the bans do affect your EB1 and EB2 visa applications or immigrant visa applications, because those are applications where you are seeking an immigration benefit, unless you fall within one of the exemptions. We discussed this extensively in various live videos and many of our videos. If you are from the 75 country immigrant visa issuance pause, EB1 and EB2 applicant in the US, you are not impacted. However, if you are trying to get an immigrant visa from abroad and you are from one of the 75 countries that have the immigrant visa issuance pause, you cannot get an immigrant visa through the EB1 and EB2. Okay, please contact us if you have more questions so that we can look at your situation and give you proper, relevant advice. Okay, Chizoba Odanwu Oko Esquire LLM on LinkedIn says, thank you, you're an inspiration. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you very much. I appreciate it from you. All right, guys, I'm about to hop off. There's just so much to discuss, but our time will not allow us to do too much. I think we can cross the 30-minute line and then we can call it a day. Let me see if there's anything else that I have put down to discuss with you guys. No, okay, so I'm going to probably take some questions. I'm sorry. I'm going to take some questions from you. If you have questions, drop them. I see that there's a lot of questions, but it's hard to read. Okay, so Queen P on TikTok says that, lawyer, please, my case has been approved in the USA. I have B visa. Can I come inside and adjust? Okay, so I'll tell you that if you have a B visa and you're coming in with the purpose of adjusting, you are going to have problems. Okay, the B visa, the purpose of the visa, and I'll say again, every visa has a purpose. We've done the alphabet soup of US immigration visas. There's a letter for every alphabet there's a visa type for every letter of the alphabet. There's visa A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Apart from there's Q, R, S, T, U, V. Apart from X, Y, and Z, I believe. Apart from X, Y, and Z, all the letters have corresponding visa types. So each visa has a stated purpose. B visa is for temporary visits, tourism, business transactions, not working, not where you're coming to earn money. Okay, B visas is for tourism or for business, for visit. Now, if you're trying to come in with the purpose of adjusting your status, you'll have fraudulent intent issues. And when you apply for your adjustment of status, that could be raised. We've had several cases, people did those things themselves. They came to us and we've had to answer. So there's things that we have to look at, but what you have to understand is that you can come in on a B visa for the purpose of visiting. After you enter, if your intent changes, that's a different matter. And we should be able to prove that your intent changed after your entry. There are several ways to do this. So you cannot come in with that intent that, oh, I'm coming in. Because you see, there are many hundred thousands of people millions of people that are waiting outside the US to get their green cards, to get their immigrant visas. And so if you come in on a B to get your green card, it looks like you've crossed the line. And as I always say, if you are in the US, you know that Americans don't take their cues lightly. It's just even in Ghana, even the watching line. You're in a watching line and you are almost nearing the front where you can be served your wache or your beans or your whatever you're trying to buy, kele wele or your book puff puff or whatever. And imagine if 10 people come and cross you. You are actually waiting to go to work. It turns into fight all the time. So something like immigration, there's also a queue. And so if you now try to come in on a B visa to come and get your green card, it's not very fair to other people who have families waiting outside, sometimes 5 years, 7 years. So, that is it. But with that being said, you can come in on a B visa and adjust, but you have to make sure you are eligible and it doesn't raise any fraud concerns. Those are things that we review and help you to see whether you can file or not. But okay, please take note of that. And I know people are always concerned about this 90-day rule, 30, 60, 90-day rule. If you come in on a B visa and within 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days you change status, then it is an indication of fraudulent intent. That rule was, I've said it before, USCIS has stated that rule is a Department of State rule. And they don't work with that rule. They look at, again, the totality of the circumstances. So if you do any act after entering on a B that is inconsistent within 90 days of somebody on a B visa, they don't just look at that, they look at a number of circumstances. So I just wanted to add that. Alrighty, guys, I think that we'll have to call it a day. Let me see here. Okay, I will not be able to answer all questions. Please bear with me. If you have specific questions, please contact us and we'll do our best to assist you one-on-one, because these videos are really for educational, informative purposes. Let me add, guys, next week, Friday, we have a special guest in our live session, former immigration judge, George Papas. He's no stranger here. He was here, I believe, in December last year. And he was an immigration judge before he was fired by President Trump a few months ago. Decided a lot of cases. He will be here to talk to us about immigration law, bond hearings. And we'll answer some questions. I want you guys to hear it directly from an immigration judge himself. Immigration cases ultimately end up in front of an immigration judge, and they are the people that determine whether you'll be allowed to stay in the US or you will have to be deported. If your case gets approved by USCIS, it doesn't go up to an immigration judge, but if it gets denied, you will be referred to an immigration judge and they have the ultimate say. So he'll be here to join us next week, same time, 1 p.m. EST. Make sure that you are here to join the session and ask your questions. Okay, all right, guys. I will see you all soon. Take care. Make sure you're following AK Poku Law across all social media platforms. And if you see our posts, engage with the posts, like, comment, share. Okay, and if you need our help, as always, we represent immigrants or clients because we sometimes represent US citizens. We represent clients in all 50 states throughout the United States, including DC and around the world, and we represent clients in all US immigration matters. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great weekend. Oh, and there's a snowstorm coming in many parts of the United States, so I hope everybody has stocked up. I'm going to be doing some last minute stocking up after I leave the office today to make sure that as I'm snowed in with my family, we're not going to starve or anything like that. So I hope everybody has stocked up so far or planning to do some last minute stock ups. Just stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you guys soon next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining.